and welcome to a very special edition of One Man's Opinion because this is not a theater review. And I figured I wanted to start doing some of these interviews with actors, directors, producers, and the very here in the regional theater of Connecticut, and hopefully maybe one day in New York as well. So to kick this off as this premiere interview episode, I have Rob Ruggiero here with me, the artistic producer of TheaterWorks, the artistic director of TheaterWorks Hartford, and you're kind of a producer too.
Yeah, I am, I guess. Yeah. I used to be the producing artistic director. Now I'm the artistic director is my title because we have a new managing director.
Right, and we're talking about today TheaterWorks Hartford's 40th season, which is about to kick off this in the late summer, early fall. And well, first of all, Rob, what does it feel like to have TheaterWorks running for 40 years now?
Uh I can't, it's just I can't believe it. I cut my teeth here. My whole career really launched here in Hartford, coming right out of grad school and some associate and assisting, bigger name directors. I was back teaching at Rutgers, and at the time, the theater was 7 years old, I think. And so, I kind of cut my teeth here. My freelance career took me off, and I've been affiliated all these years, even when that period happened. And now I'm back leading the organization for the last 13, going on 14 years. And I don't know where the time went, Tim. It's like I remember so much when coming here where there were like a whole staff of like probably two or three, when wooden risers and plastic chairs, and we didn't have a lighting grid,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just been such an honor, really, and a privilege to like kind of align my artistic life with TheaterWorks. And it's been a great journey, not over for me yet, but it's nice to think about, in this 40th season, who we were, who we are, and who we aspire to be. And hopefully, as we move into our next chapter, whoever is here for the 50th, or we'll leave them in good hands. So.
Anyway, that may still be you, or have you? I mean,
I
it.
guess it's possible. I think it's unlikely, but it's possible. If
Uh,
it is, that will be my last year.
well, it's not common, at least that I have seen, for artistic directors to hang around with one theater for that long. Uh, you do have people like Samina over at uh,
Seven
Seven
Angels.
Angels and Ivoryton Playhouse, where you have the artistic directors who have been there for most of their careers.
Right.
Uh, and you've been around for TheaterWorks for quite a long time. What keeps you there?
Yeah. Well, like I said, when I've always believed in who TheaterWorks is and the kind of storytelling we do. Like we're a contemporary theater who I think try and provoke important conversations and do really great new work. And it's always like where my work as a director is centered, even as a freelance. I mean, we do not a lot of musicals. A lot of my career, half of my career has been probably musicals outside of here, and and then doing plays. But I think we know who we are, and we've built an audience like that loves that, and a new audience that is interested in that. And it just keeps me engaged because I feel the work that we do has a certain relevance and a connection to people, easily able to connect to people, and we have a fun vibe. So,
Right.
and as a director and an artist, when you run an organization, or in the case of before when I was a partner, like I was the second banana. You get to kind of start to pick and choose the stories you want to tell. when you're a freelance artist, you basically are offered things that people want to do or want you to do. What a gift to be able to pick the stories we tell. And I spent a lot of time putting this 40th season together.
Right? Because when you talk about the freelance stuff, you've got a show this coming season with, or in this season with Goodspeed, correct? That you're directing.
Yeah, I mean, right now I don't know when this is airing, but we just closed our 39th season yesterday.
Hmm.
And I am going next week. I'm going to the Muni in St.
Yeah,
Louis to do Dear Evan Hansen in 11,000 seats in 2 weeks, really 12 days. And then I come back and I go right to Goodspeed in August to direct a chorus line, which is part of their current 2025 season.
fantastic. Now, let's get into why we're here, which is this season at TheaterWorks Hartford, the 40th season. Uh, you've got some lead-in events also, because we don't want to ignore those because some of
I
these
mean,
are,
our celebrations, or what do
yeah,
you?
like the living room series and the
Oh, yeah.
and Celebrate Drag 2025, and something that I'm really looking forward to, which is Mark Twain Night,
Mark
starring
Twain tonight.
Mark Twain Tonight with starring Richard Thomas.
Yeah. And that what a gift that was. He really wanted to launch his tour. Now, small, they say the theater is like 8 people. I was good friends with Hal Holbrook because I was the assistant director on his Lear and on his Uncle Vanya that he did. So I saw Mark Twain tonight, which was, of course, his baby. And so the fact that, and I grew up with the Waltons and Richard Thomas
Yep,
taking over this. And it's so interesting because they're going on like tours like Cal did. He's basically picking up that torch. I don't know if you've seen the photos. He looks amazing
I
as
haven't
Mark.
seen it yet, but
And an amazing actor,
mhm,
right?
right.
And they came to us. Like it's where he wanted the first time out, and he's going to other places to be in a small, intimate theater. And that's where we came in, and he's very excited to see the show live in that intimate space. We're presenting, not producing. We're certainly
Mhm.
supporting them. But so yes, in the summer now, between now and when the 40th season starts, July 31st, we have Celebrate Drag. This is our third annual. We love it.
Mhm.
And Susie Toots is coming from RuPaul's last season of RuPaul's Drag Race. And then we have it's like 10 days that he's doing Mark Twain tonight, and tickets are going really, really quickly. That's another blessing. So if um but yeah, it's a very limited run, and you get to see it first at TheaterWorks Hartford. And all that's happening before we go into rehearsal for the first show of our 40th season.
Now, is Mark Twain Tonight? Is the Mark Twain House going to be collaborating in any way?
Of
Since
course.
that's just down the road.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, we when this happened, there was immediate like conversations. They're having an event on one of the nights. I think they may even have a dinner over at Mark Twain House at some point. But we do talkbacks, et cetera, et cetera. There's a great partnership opportunity, which I'm so glad you asked that, because one of the things I wanted to do that I think we achieved is I wanted the 40th season to be a celebration of partnership, but
Hmm.
with fellow arts organizations, also community connection to community. And those are the things that I really wanted. And we have a partnership. We have two partnerships with two major regionals close by. One of them is historic. I wanted to do something that spoke to our innovation work, innovation and immersion. We have a world premiere piece that also is going to be a kind of um, connection with our audience because it's about something that happened here in
Right.
Hartford, and another world premiere. So there's two world premieres, and a Pulitzer Prize winning play that it couldn't be more timely than in this moment.
Right. So the season kicks off officially October 2nd with with English, which won the Pulitzer Prize in 2023, as you mentioned. And I saw it on Broadway, loved it. Uh, this is one of the things about TheaterWorks that I really love is that you bring in recently new works because that's kind of your objective is recently new works and new works for people who may not have gotten to see English on Broadway and can get this opportunity to see an excellent production uh, almost immediately afterward.
Yeah. Yeah, that has always been part of like what we do, like or a play that is you experience on a large scale in a big Broadway house, you can experience in a small, intimate house. This play, I'm sure, is going to thrive in a
Mm-hmm.
small in our space. It was beautiful. I saw it. Only time I've seen it was also on Broadway. We already knew we were doing it, but funny story. I uh yeah, the whole like I I I didn't want to do English until I knew two things from talking to colleagues that I wanted to make it authentic, that I knew it was challenging to cast because the pool of authentic artists that can live in this world is not huge. And I didn't want to announce it without knowing who was going to lead that.
Mm-hmm.
And and I ended up actually announcing, but very close. I was close. So the Arya, who's directing it, was the associate on Broadway, but
Okay.
he also did his own production at the Old Globe, which this is one of the, so this is his third production, and it doesn't look like either of them. I mean, obviously the world looks the same, but, and there, we're doing a lot of new people who haven't done the show. We've done that work, and he's excited to tell the story in our space. And right at the finish line, we managed to make this a partnership with Long Wharf Theater.
Right. I
Uh,
was going to ask you about that because how did you and Jacob come about in collaborating on this?
Well, Jacob did Sanctuary City. We've already had conversation open about how we can, we're all talking about it in Connecticut, how we can support each other, looking for partnership opportunities. He actually reached out to me, and we were talking about a different play originally about is there a play we can partner on, and ended up telling him we were doing this. And it took it, like I said, we were targeting, I don't even remember the play now. We were talking about a different play. Um, and and here we go, literally, because we were talking about it, but it wasn't definite, and the season brochure was going to print. I was like, we want to put you in it, but so it's happening here in October into early November, then the holidays, and then it's in January, February, right after the holidays, it's going to New Haven. So it's a real co-pro, meaning it happens here and then it happens there, and we share, expenses and resources
Right.
and that. Versus the other collaboration is a little different when we talk.
What do you feel that an audience will get from coming and seeing this show?
Yeah. And identity, right? Language and identity, and the power of language in connection to identity. What I loved about the play is, I mean, was not, I believe, not written. I guess I don't know that for a fact, but it's not a political play. It's a play that speaks to a human issue, and that has universal connection outside of this world. But I also love that, it takes place in Iran. This is a school in Iran, and uh, it helps us see a particular community in a real that maybe some people may quite fear or don't understand, but it shows this class in a real human, fallible, funny, moving way that, it's not meant to make a statement bigger than this story, but the story, I think, has an umbrella that touches many communities, if not all communities. I love that about it. And I love that it's funny. And I keep saying that because you wouldn't, and when I first heard about it, it's like you saw it, it's really funny in a kind of in a real kind of way, not like in a comedy kind of way.
Right. Right.
Um, and it really shines a light on our connection to our roots.
Yeah. And so following English is the annual Christmas production of Christmas on the Rocks. Uh,
Yes.
and and I review it every year because one, because I love the show, and two, almost always something changes.
Yep.
Are we expecting anything new in this production, in this
Just
year's
got off a
production?
phone call. I mean, yeah, I mean, we're not going to unravel the whole thing as we
Right,
never,
right,
but pieces come and go. I mean, somebody might go or two, and somebody might come back. There's right now hopes that there'll be a new opening thing,
hmm
because I'm in this mind space of like musicals.
right.
Um, we may play with that a little bit, the element of music, and I think I can say you're the first to know. I mean, Jen is coming back, Jen
Right.
Cody, for another year, and she's a great collaborator and friend, and we're looking at another play for her in the 41st season. But she's great and smart and one of the most brilliant comedians in the acting community right now to me.
Yeah, and her
Um,
and Hunter have made Connecticut almost a second home for them.
yeah,
Between you all and Sharon Playhouse and a contemporary theater of Connecticut, they've been working at all three theaters.
right.
So,
And I don't know about the other characters yet. I'm expecting there'll be at least one new cast member. That's always another fun way to shake it up.
mhm.
Um, and so there are some, conversations happening about that. And every year as we put it up, we try and find improvement or things that maybe make them feel a little more relevant to current events. So.
Right.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Hartford's twisted holiday tradition. It does really well for us. And this thing I thought of, it was like my little brainchild of doing this, like, this crazy thing. I thought, oh, it's going to be for 1 year. And then I thought, they say it peaks at 3 years. This is the 13th iteration of it coming up. And, it has not only brought so much entertainment and joy and audience in, it's been great financially for the theater.
Yeah, but people keep coming back, and because it always feels fresh and different. Iteration is the correct word because each year it is definitely something new. You're going to have old classics, like Merry Christmas Blockhead, and then you've got then you bring something new in, like the Shelf on the Elf,
Elfin.
Shelf on the Elf on the Shelf scene that came up a couple seasons ago. You introduced that one.
Yeah, and last year was actually the second year. Last year was like a second year. We actually had a shelf, if you remember. That was
Yes.
every year. She's like, I'm only doing it again if I have a shelf. We had to figure out, how that worked, and she just climbs all over that set. It's a lot.
And the stoner little drummer boy scene, which I think improved
Yes,
every year.
better.
That one's getting better, which is great. And that's another great thing about it is that you leave that show open for development and creativity by the cast members as they get more comfortable with the role.
I mean, one of the conversations, I don't mind sharing this. I don't know if it's going to happen, but like Zuzu was taken out, but
Mhm.
she might come back, but with a new ending,
Okay.
because we're like looking at how they speak to each other. Last year, Kevin McAllister was new.
Right. Right. So after the new year, February 12th through March 15th, is another play that I saw off that ran off Broadway that I really enjoyed, which is The Counter by Megan Kennedy, which you are directing.
I am, and I didn't see it. This is a rare occasion. I guess it is rare. Rare occasion. I'm directing this play that I've never seen. And
Mm-hmm.
I just read when we were deciding, we do this thing sometimes when we're deciding on a season, because on the page it's so simple, you know, uh,
Yeah.
which is its brilliance. I brought three actors together to read it. And it was so lovely to hear how an ordinary connection, everyday like connection can change the course of your life, which is so TheaterWorks. Like
Yeah.
the kind of play is so us. And I love relationship plays and behavior plays and plays that, as I talked about English, like that really articulate something about the human condition or humanity, and it does it. And someone who's Meisner trained, I mean, it's a really like there is a plot. I mean, there is something that happens, as you know, which I don't want to give
Mm-hmm.
away. But overall, it's like, every scene is like at the counter in the diner, and uh,
Well, and mostly, well, that's the trick part of this play is that it's essentially a two-person play where there is a third person who comes in for a brief period of time.
Mhm.
Uh, and it's set at a diner counter. And the thing is, it's like when I saw it off Broadway, uh, the the design worked to have two people in a static set without one ever upstaging the other.
We're
And
gonna have to figure that out, but
yeah.
we have that modified thrust. So no, I do know that they did an unusual angle that served the customer,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of interesting about when we're talking about Christmas on the Rocks. But and so the server behind the counter is really the one who can do things.
Right.
When you're sitting at a counter, you're sitting there. So we had a fabulous today. We have a fabulous designer from LA who did My Fiddler in St. Louis, who has this beautiful sense, how knows how to marry reality and something sculptural and a little more impressionistic. Because I kind of imagine the play as this hyper piece of like reality kind of living inside something else. I haven't figured out yet, but
I I get the sense that you're not wanting to reveal too much about it. But granted, if you really want to know a bit more of the plot, you can watch my review of the off-Broadway production. but uh, if
well, I mean, it's still
but what do you
relatively
want?
early,
Yeah,
but
what would you
basically,
like to share about the story to the
oh, I mean,
audience?
these two, I guess, people who live in this community, this customer and this, I guess they call her a waitress. I don't know why I'm avoiding the word because we say server now, but
Mm-hmm.
this waitress at a diner, um, um, create this friendship happens just by him going in every day, and he asks something of her that alters the course of both their lives.
Yeah,
And I thought I guessed what it was before I read it,
yeah,
because even when you find out what the thing is, you'll think it's for other reasons.
right. Yeah,
I don't know.
the
Is it bad to say it? I don't know. Do people know? I think it's a nice surprise,
it
but
depends on how far into the play that you feel like it becomes a tipping point in regards to the plot. But no, I don't mind not revealing it. But really, that's the beauty of the play and why I think it was so moving to watch was these two characters struggle with that request
Mhm.
and the why and the how that it happened, why the why he makes that request and how she responds to it and the tug of war that starts to happen between the two of them as they
And the
start
negotiation, right?
yeah they start to open up in a more honest way than they ever have before.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is really the kind of at the core of why it's a great play.
right.
And it reminds me in a very, very different way of like Primary Trust of this past season.
Hmm.
Primary Trust at its core is this like really simple kind of adult fable of this guy. And ironically, they both take place in upstate New York.
Right.
I mean, and that when I read that play, and they're so different in tone, and I think that the counter is much more cinematically real, if that's a
Hmm.
say it, like very, very simple. And it's but the impact of experiencing them is big. And we just know Primary Trust won CCC award for best
Yes.
play. I
Yes.
I think it's interesting to me. I didn't know. I mean, I know it's happened in other cities, but that play impacts an audience in very significant ways.
Yeah, I the Primary Trust was a beautiful show. Definitely for me, your all's best show of the year, and I think the award was well deserved. It the challenge of having uh, a character who's only seen by one other by your main character, and making it feel organic and real within the stage and the setting is can be tricky because you have other people who aren't supposed to be able to see that person,
Right.
and it brings a directorial challenge and a staging challenge and an acting challenge, which all y'all pulled off wonderfully. Great job.
Yeah, thanks. We're proud of it.
Okay, so next we have a new work, which I knew was going to be written by Jacques Lamar, who, by the way, just did a fantastic show that he had written, The Baroness, over at Playhouse on Park, which is the funniest show he's done. I think. So he's getting better. So he's getting better every year, apparently,
What's so
and
interesting about this is that this though we're in the middle, like we're at the really the early launching part still, but we have pages and like myself and so it's conceived by myself, Jacques, myself, and Jared. Jacques is, and we're trying to kind of break new ground in how a new piece is born and
well, we
like
should we should say that the name of the play is Circus Fire, and it's about the Hartford Circus Fire. Yeah,
and this was the
but
piece
yes.
where, yeah, so I wanted to really do something that shined a light on the power of community,
Hmm.
and in these tragedies like this. And, yesterday we were at the site, even though there wasn't an official ceremony, 81 years since the fire
Hmm.
was just as hot as yesterday. But it's not a play that is like an articulation of the event of the fire. I mean, of course, that is the spine or the catalyst, but it's really, we call them ironically tent poles, but talking about, the psychology of how would people behave, the need to blame, the need to have accountability, which really doesn't really solve anything, but that is ever present, what it is with things like this, that there is such a drive and a connection to not be forgotten, you
Right.
know? So there's a lot of beautiful themes that tie in. It's we found a site that I think might work, but the intention is it won't be in the theater. It will be um not like site specific, but in a
Hmm.
site in a space that allows the multimedia aspect of it to live a little bit differently and taking it out of the theater and like into the community if we can. So Jacques is doing the book, is credited and will be doing the book, the script. Jared is directing and doing this um, multimedia experience lens of it.
Okay.
So like there's some parts already that like will be both. There will be some parts where there won't be book and there'll be multimedia and vice versa. So we're trying to set up some healthy structures so it gets done and that, you need a script and all those things. And but that we're like listening to each other. My role is as a co-conceiver of like what's the story, how we're doing it, and then being like the kind of balcony support that an artistic director has to help them. And then um, those two are going to, I mean, really create something really pretty special. The our intention, and I don't see that changing, is that hiring a company. Right now, it's 8 actors that are either from Connecticut, live in Connecticut, Connecticut connected. That uh, artists that are we take from the community here. Um, and as is the set designer, it's going to be cool. Yeah. And literally we've put some money in there for some development work, leading up to it. So we couldn't it couldn't be more excited. It's going to be powerful. It's going to be moving. It's not going to be gory or horrific or uncomfortable. Like nobody needs to hear those details. But I think in understanding how a tragedy like that, which probably could have been preventable, like that,
Hmm.
and many of them that parallel, like the Titanic, like how that impacts a community and how we care for each other or not.
Hmm.
It's a real interesting story, and I think it will have a great theatricality about it. And I think it will honor. That's our overall, we keep going back to, we have to make sure this honors um, this event in appropriate ways and those people who were lost.
And maybe this is a question better left for Jacques, but he's a local playwright from Connecticut, and he is more known for his comedies.
Right.
And it's like where did the inspiration come from him to, or was it, or when it was conceived between the three of you? It's
To
like
have Doc
to
write
have
it.
Jacques write it.
Well, he's responsible for it happening. He saw Sandra. He had mentioned this a bunch of years ago. We moved past it, and he really was wanted to play with Jared. And he was like, he thought when we first talked about it, though, it was going to be more like a little more simple, smaller Laramie Project-esque, in the theater.
Hmm.
Um, and but so it was his idea. I love the idea because, yes, he is in life, he's always, gets you to laugh and he lives in humor. And I love that the audience will, that tool is really not useful here. I
Right.
mean, there are a couple of odd, truthful little things, but it's not about humor. And that he's excited and I'm excited that, how artists get, you're the one who does this, you're the one who does that, that he gets to write in this kind of lens is a kind of beautiful thing. And people are gonna really feel and hear another side of it.
Now, you were talking about this play being a multimedia experience.
Yeah.
Are you willing to reveal what some of that multimedia element will be like? Are we talking like an immersive kind of theatrical experience, or where we're walking around the stage area, or is it something that's going to be static for the audience but multimedia in the staging and design?
Oh, well, I think I understood to the end, but it's like multiple projectors in different places. So, example, I mean, the opening, obviously there's a circus element.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have somebody saying, "Welcome to, ladies and gentlemen," like you have that thing, the multimedia tool is able to place us and put us into the circus, both sound immersion, video immersion. And that does not necessarily mean like just location literalizing it,
Mm-hmm.
but what we're talking about so far, has more moving stuff than I think still stuff. But I'm sure it'll be a combination of both. And what Jared, Jared is like one of the top theater innovators in the country. He's been in the Times a couple times. He's getting asked to do these big projects. Like he doesn't just say, "Here's my idea." Like we're starting with the script and building out. So it should be a really interesting experience, where speakers are, where what is projected on. One of the spaces we're looking at, we're not going to put it in a tent, literally in a tent. That would be kind of unnerving and maybe even distasteful. I don't know.
Hmm.
Like an interesting thought, but when you're talking about a subject matter like that, it's weird. But we have to be able to go there, and you can do that. But like one of the spaces that we're closing in on has a historical but very big ceiling that's all kind of off-white. So
Right.
could, he could just like, project onto the space itself, and we will create a playing space, an audience.
Has there been any interaction yet with like say the grandchildren of people who were impacted by the event?
Well, there's so much documented, but there's certainly a lot of interaction with the historians.
Hmm.
And I would say close to once a week. I mean, usually I encounter someone that says my aunt was there. We encountered two people at the memorial site. Um, and a lot of these have already been documented, but people are coming up and absolutely we're figuring out a way to um, find who might, and it's 82 years. So,
Right.
um, I mean, there are still people who are there.
Right. So let's talk about the show after that, which was a big announcement earlier this year, uh, which
Yes.
is the collaboration between TheaterWorks Hartford and Hartford Stage for your production of Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, the classic Stephen Sondheim musical, which you are directing. And and
So it's a historic collaboration because it's not a traditional co-production, it's a shared production. So what we're doing and kind of looking at all these conversations we've had about sharing resources and kind of collaborating in a more in a braver, more, you know, bold way is where I'm directing the musical that is taking place in their space, and it is on both our subscriptions. We're both offering it, and we're basically partnering in the creating of and execution of, and we're sharing not only resources and staff and vision, we're sharing audience. So our audience, and and some people might be like, "What are you doing?" But we're basically our audience that maybe doesn't go there is going to go there. Our audience
right,
will go there, and the hope and intention is that this model will be successful. And we've so far from colleagues, from audience, from this from everywhere, people have really been applauding the kind of boldness of it. And
mm-hmm.
we hope that then in a subsequent season, we'll have a play that maybe Melia directs or somebody from there, Zoe, somebody that is on both our subscriptions, and then their audience will come here. For us to do that, which is fine, we just need to do a very long run
Right. Well, that's the
because of
thing.
our seating capacity.
Right, because you're dealing about two companies that would, I would assume, have to share the profits of the production. And when you
Mhm.
have a big
And
show
also
like
the
that,
expenses.
and also the expenses, yeah, uh, and with a big production like that, you're talking a lot of a big cast. Um,
Actually, it's not.
or
We're doing a chamber production, so it's nine
okay,
people.
Oh wow. All right. So definitely smaller than most
Yeah,
productions of
it's
Sweeney
like, I
Todd
mean,
most
it's
people probably have
not
seen.
at all in intention or like had the music, they played music, but in scale, it's a lot like the John Doyle production.
Gotcha.
It's bigger than Teeny Sweeney, although it was the same amount of people. If it was at TheaterWorks, it'd be a Teeny Sweeney. Um, yeah,
That's the
so
production I was
yeah,
at,
and but
Circle
like
in the Square.
the
Yeah.
orchestra's probably gonna be bigger than the cast.
Wow. All right. And we got was so for you being the director and having uh, and getting to work on the stage at Hartford Stage, is this your first time directing on that stage?
No, I mean, I had a production of Ella. I had a big musical about Ella Fitzgerald, and years ago they had a summer series, and that was there. I mean, I've always wanted to, and I had conversations. We all know how that goes, though, with
Yeah.
the two of the previous artistic directors, and talked about it. It just never happened. So I'm excited. I mean, it is very similar to the Repertory Theater of St. Louis space, Cincinnati Playhouse space, but the Rep in particular is a space that I did many, many shows on. So um, I'm very familiar with, and it's really basically in a bigger, exaggerated version of ours.
Right.
A
Design
little
wise, it's not
deeper.
too much difference. It's just a
It's a little
little bigger.
deeper.
Yeah.
But we are, to make the numbers work, we had to be creative about seating because I really both Amelia and I wanted it to, to be out on the thrust, but we had to incorporate a seating element into the thrust, but it will also be a performance space. So
Right.
it's kind of interesting.
Oh, so you're because yeah, Hartford Stage is usually a 3/4 thrust stage, and you're get and
A lot of the
I
musicals, they make it a sort of proscenium, and
right.
it's like sort of a proscenium, but I'm going to use the house a lot, the
Gotcha.
audience area.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of great entrances and exits throughout the
Mhm.
stage left and stage right bomb
And
and
we've
areas.
created a sort of passerelle, but
Mhm.
I also, in the past, this is a seating arrangement as far as they know, they've never done. Because usually it's a bunch of seats like in the middle of all that,
Mhm.
but those seats have an aisle or two
Gotcha.
aisles.
Gotcha.
So people can actually get in there. They won't be interacting with the audience, but it will feel very intimate. Yeah.
Gotcha. Now, this is uncharacteristic of TheaterWorks as Sweeney is 45 years old now. And
Yeah.
TheaterWorks traditionally does not do shows that are that old. Uh, what was it about you and Melia coming together and choosing this work as something that is a little uh, different than what TheaterWorks traditionally does?
Um, it's so interesting. Yeah, it's a really great question. Um, we typically do like, I've been talking about Dear Evan Hansen now that I'm doing it there. We did Next to Normal, Lizzie. Like we would tend to do contemporary pieces. I on my short list was to do a production of Sweeney here at TheaterWorks because we we've never been one to like not step out of the box a little bit, but actually I was interested in looking at the story through an intimate lens. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where kind of our missions kind of overlap. Our space by definition is more intimate, but their space is certainly not like big and cold either. And they do classic. And we talked about doing a musical together. We knew we wanted to do a musical uh, that was important enough. I don't know if that's the right word. It's probably not the right word. Something because it's going to taking a lot of resources. And if you think about, we quickly came to talking about Sondheim shows
Mm-hmm.
because he was a genius, and he kind of really defined a chapter of creating musical theater, as as you would say Rodgers and Hammerstein did, you know. And it's smart, intelligent, has a contemporary sensibility. So, in a sense, it does go further back than we ordinarily would, but there were enough things that I felt served a lot of our values and mission that and I wanted to do it.
But also it has this story about a guy who was unjustly imprisoned for years, is sent halfway around the world, and comes back for vengeance against the politicians who did him wrong,
Yeah.
which feels, the story has its degrees of tragedy throughout, uh, but there's also a certain uh, timeliness to it that I appreciate as
Yeah.
a frustrated American right now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not why we picked it, but
No,
yeah,
right.
which is such a great thing about theater and relevancy.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause, you know, I was talking about English, you know, and because of what is going on in the political world climate right now, it certainly has a resonance there, but it's not why we're doing it. I don't think it's
Right.
why it was written, obviously, because it was written a while ago. And but Sweeney, sure, but the kind of, you know, how revenge, you know, can turn to, you know, that go
It's
to this really, really dark place fascinates me. I mean,
mm-hmm.
it's written out of a melodrama, you know. I did a production a few years ago at the Muni, big production, huge chorus, like in a kind of operatic scale.
Right.
Um, and but still, when you work on it, that scale, it came down to like Lovett and Sweeney's relationship, and there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just what I do when I go to when I've gone to Goodspeed. People are like, I don't know, it just feels like I just like tell the story. I ground it in behavior and relationship, even if it's heightened. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it has to be grounded. I'm really interested in the kind of attraction. I mean, I won't use the word, I won't say sexual, but I'm sure it's there, at least one-sided. But there's a attraction where like where between Lovett and Sweeney that goes really off the charts, dark, fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Particularly considering the twist at the end of the musical,
mhm.
that it there's a darkness there that just resonates through, that should resonate through every audience member.
Yes.
At that, Sweeney may not be the darkest person in the show.
Yeah. And you know, so like I think there are productions that just lean into like the heightened, and it can get very disconnected. So you get to the moment you're talking about, which is a reveal, which we won't share because some people don't know, most people do.
Right.
Um, but like even when you have people like, you know, making meat pies, you know, cannibalizing customers to make meat pies,
Right.
there's a real human heart-wrenching moment at the end. And
Yeah.
like I want to make sure that we earn that moment. And to earn that moment, that means that you can't just be outside it, commenting on it. And I learned that a while ago in my career, you know, even like you know, it takes really, really good actors because, you know, you can be heightened, you can honor the style and still have truth and
Yeah.
authenticity.
So the last show of the season is the one show I am not familiar with because it's a brand new work, and it's The Cannibals of McGower County by Drew Larimore. It's a
Yeah.
world premiere, second world premiere of the season for you. And the only reason I know Circus Fire is because I know Jacques,
Yeah.
and I and I follow this kind of stuff with him. So, what can you tell us about the final show of the season, which is running for a month from July 30th to August 30th, The Cannibals of McGower County?
Yeah. It's this Southern Gothic play that has dark, really twisted, funny humor, as well as an interesting story. I'm trying not to give too much away. Wait, he just did a big rewrite that was fantastic. But I'll tell you, it started with my friend Connie Showman, who was in my very first play at TheaterWorks Hartford and did two or three here, three at least, if not four now, called Imagining Brad. And we've stayed friends ever since. That's back in the early 90s. And she called me and said, I'm doing this reading of this play with was it's her and Margot Martindale.
Mm-hmm.
We we hope that, Margot's doing it, but her filming is crazy. But we can say that Margot's doing the workshop, the developmental work, and we hope that it might come out that way. But we didn't do that for like that. Um, it's kind of like Martin McDonough, who's a writer that I loved. We did so many of his pieces. Meet Sam Shepard,
Fantastic.
Beth Henley. It has all the best of like those writers, and it's about this pair of women who are um, are on this kind of they go and they like loot these places that are closed, and one of them has a daughter who shows up with this man who wants to marry her, who's like more like trust fund, gonna buy the town. And she is actually a caretaker for her mother, a la Beauty Queen of Linan.
Mm-hmm.
But like more, she's more like it's like the age is their age difference is like more like grandmother, granddaughter.
Okay.
It's purposefully the play reveals a lot. But she's raised her as a daughter. Her best friend is also kind of in this horrible kind of prison of a relationship with her mother, and they they're all these lives converge, and in a very Southern Gothic way, things happen. The cannibalism is metaphorical, interesting.
Okay.
It's
So we're
like they
dealing
don't
we're
they
dealing
don't
with
really
eating people twice
they're
this
not really
season.
eating people twice in our season. But Connie said, come to this reading. I think this guy has a real unique voice. And I think she was absolutely right. It's a four character play that is the first part of a trilogy. We're going to do we're not planning to do the trilogy. We're not planning not to do the trilogy. It just is interesting. He's writing this trilogy, and we're going to do a reading of part two with somebody of note soon. But the writing, we went to see the reading. Jeff and I went to see the reading, and she was right. It's really funny and really dark and great characters. And part of our dream is to be like we did Fever Dreams last year, like Circus Fire. None of us are doing this with any intention. It could, if the play is resonant enough to in a universal way, could be something that could go. But we're trying to invest more resources into new work because we do great work, and to have something that's born here. Being Fever Dreams wasn't, it already had been, but this is going to be like born here, and
Right.
it ends up being as great and special as we hope. Who knows? We could be that launching pad for off-Broadway or Broadway or a movie, you know?
But yeah, I think some of the work that you've done since I've started coming to TheaterWorks, which goes back to your production of the Mountaintop.
Hmm.
Uh, I've I've always loved coming to TheaterWorks. I think it's a great space. I think you've been one of the more consistent professional theaters in Connecticut when it comes to bringing out quality shows almost every time. It's like every once in a while, I'm like, but you know how it is. Every once in a
Can't
while,
have
there's one that doesn't.
everyone, of
Yeah.
course. But I
uh,
mean,
but I'm
it's
thrilled.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
This
I'm.
last show was so polarizing,
Mhm.
but mostly good. Very, but see, like, it's to me the fact that people are, I mean, that is the one bar. Do we always succeed? Not like so, like there's certain designers and some directors and some actors that, don't get asked back because artistic integrity is one of our, cornerstones. It's one of our core values. So even if, and you really starts you can be very forgiving if the writing is really good, right?
Right.
And the acting is really good. But you know, uh not everyone hits it out of the park. However, I think we are consistent, and thank you for saying that. I feel like, we get told a lot. You get something from the mail from us or email, it's from us. And if you see something, like there's a certain integrity to the work, even if it's not my favorite, that people appreciate and get something from it. And this season has brought back some subscribers that I thought were not coming back since
Hmm.
COVID, which is really exciting. But part of the season subscription model, which is being tested right now, I don't know if it'll ever come back as solidly, is that you invested in the journey of the season. So often you'd have that person that was like, I really was excited about this and this, and I didn't know if I wanted to see this, but I'm a subscriber and I saw it, and that other thing ends up being like their favorite thing.
Right.
Because like now, as we pick seasons, artistic directors have to pick a season, but also have to think, can this title, can this project, can this play stand on its own? Because we really can't afford to have that thing that, doesn't pull its weight financially. We feel it.
Now, as for me, as somebody who loves going out and experiencing new theater, I love it when I show up to TheaterWorks and I see a play like Primary Trust or Fever Dreams, two shows I had not seen before and knew very little about, or King James. I mean, all
Mhm.
three of those I this past season that came in and went. It's like, okay, let's give it a shot. I have no idea what I'm in for, and all three of them, I was like, I left, and whoever my plus one was with me, whether it be my wife Tara or a friend, we all walked out going, that was great. Glad I saw that one because and whether it was the fantastic design for King James, which I love the set design for that production, that looked
It was beautiful.
fantastic, and, or the acting in Primary Trust, or the tension that was sitting in Fever Dreams, all three plays. Uh, it gets me excited to see it again, and that's really what I like about new works, is particularly well produced good new works, is that it's like when another theater decides to do a production of it, it's like, yeah, I want to go over there and see them do it too. So
It's
great.
so interesting, right? You see a great amount of theater, more than the average person
Yeah.
by far, but then multiple versions. And I always love like there are a number of Primary Trust, Your Name Means Dream. Like both those had people come back. Something resonated with
Mhm.
them. And like Primary Trust two, three, four times. But I also think people don't realize that the power of live theater lies in that communal synergy
Mhm.
between art, the play, the actor's life, and the audience. And you might go to see something on one night, and the audience is really engaged, maybe with the humor, and there's a certain energy that is alive, and you're like, oh my God,
Right.
wow. And then you're like friends going back in a week and a half, and that audience is like really about listening.
Right.
And so the play doesn't even change that much, but it's experienced differently with like a quieter audience. I mean,
Right.
you mentioned, I don't think he cares if I'll say this, you because I know most of it was there, but like I happened to catch Jacques play on probably one of the most quiet nights, and everyone's like, oh, it's like everyone talked about how funny it was
Hmm.
and all that, and I just saw it late, so I couldn't go back, but it affected like people when other people are reacting more vividly, you're in it, and then also you can see a play the same director and half the cast, the primary trust at Barrington and the
Hmm.
primary trust here were very different. 50% of the cast came and 50% of the designers came, but 50% were new. And or, it's so different. Like I love Primary Trust and I loved it at TheaterWorks. And then a year from now, someone else is doing it and you go see it and you're like, oh, I thought I liked this play.
Yeah.
But it's like it's all subjective.
Yeah. Well, it's, I don't think a lot of it has to, I think a lot of it has to do with the interpretation of the work. It's like when you all did American Son, uh, I saw it on Broadway and walked away feeling nonplussed. Then when you all did it, I was like, oh, that's how that looks really good. I'm glad I saw this production because it was better than the Broadway production. It was
Well,
I,
thanks.
I thought it was directed better. I thought it was just all the whole conception of the piece flowed better. And I thought and and rarely do I give that much praise to a regional theater for performing better than a Broadway production, but that is definitely one of them. It's like Hunter Foster when he directed Rock of Ages up at Sharon Playhouse.
Hmm.
Uh, I walked in there feeling grumpy that I was have to go see Rock of Ages, and I'm like, oh, I actually had fun with this production. You know?
Yeah, it's great. It's great when that happens. And that's where like there's so much, I think, great theater in Connecticut, and there's so many theaters, putting on the lens of the critic circle as well.
Hmm.
I mean, there are places that there's disparity because of resources. The
Right,
production values of something are hard sometimes when you have like a budget like Hartford Stages or ours that allow other things, but sometimes those go away because the quality of a performance is not dependent on production values. And sometimes you can spend a lot of money on something that looks good, but the core of the design is not as strong. Like
right.
it's a really lovely thing to say, it I don't know. A great piece of theater can happen on all scales in all kinds of places, I
Well,
guess is
and
what I
not
was.
only that, the right director or the wrong director or the right casting choice, the wrong casting choice makes a world of difference. I'm very curious about Hartford Stage's production of Native Gardens, which they're doing this season, which I saw Ivoryton Playhouse do a solid production of. Then I went and saw Westport
Westport.
do it, and Westport has a little bit more money than Ivoryton, and their design was a bit more robust and fuller. But I kind of liked the performances at Ivoryton a little bit better.
Hmm.
So yeah, so seeing the same play done produced by different companies repeatedly can be exciting, or it can be uh, kind of a grind because it all depends. It's like I've seen $1 Million Quartet 4 times now, and I'm just like, oh, I don't really want to see that anymore. But when it when there's something fresh and new that keeps coming up, then it makes it worth it.
Right. Or like walking away from that production saying, "Oh, I didn't really like get or like clock like that aspect of this play," and so certain production shines a light on it just because of what the director connected with or the actors connected with or
Right.
brought.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Well, Rob, thank you very much for your time. Thank you
thank
for
you.
joining me for this past hour plus. Always a pleasure. And I'll have to look for tickets for Mark Twain as soon as possible then, so I
Yeah,
can
Mark
go.
Twain. And just to say we have two 40th events on September 13th, 2025 and May 16th, 2026. But the September one, which we're about to announce, is going to be a concert with some of my Broadway friends, a Sondheim concert, something to
Fantastic.
just kick off our season. And then we're having a big party on Pearl in May, a Ruby party on Pearl, because
Ruby, okay, because the Ruby
the 40th
anniversaries.
is the Ruby season. So
Well,
pick
that
out
reminds
your
me.
red.
And will you still be doing your lounge
Oh,
events?
yes, living room series.
Yeah, your
Yep.
living room series throughout the
Actually
season?
we were gonna extend it even more, but there's so much going on, but we are extending it again, meaning a few more of them. And we hope that most will be here, but like we had an emergency last year with like heat or HVAC. So one of our living rooms ended up at Bar Max. So I think a couple of them are going to actually be at Bar Max this year, but most will be here. And they've been very popular. People love them. And, I have a dream for kind of finishing the building because, we own the building. And
Hmm.
part of my dream, part
Yes, I
of
was
my
gonna get that
dream,
on his shirt.
part of my dream is to have a space that some space, but mostly kind of like a 54 below, Joe's Pubby kind of place.
Hmm. Well, granted, your theater is under the entrance, so it could be like 222 above or something.
Yeah, right. Ah, that's right. 233 above.
233 above, exactly. uh, or maybe now that since Ben is no longer across the street, you can utilize that space. But for those who don't know what it is, the living room series, explain what that is to people.
Well, it's a concert series where we do a lot of Connecticut artists as well, but not exclusively. Where we try and create a musical storytelling experience in a very intimate setting. They started off happening in our rehearsal studio. It got a big tight. And they ironically we called them living room. We used to bring in like pillows and sofas, and now they mostly live in our living room lobby, the Hoffman living room lobby. And we put up a little stage, and people sit in the furniture there, and we bring in other furniture, and there's a bar. I think it's like $20, 15, $20 to get in advance. This year I'm not raising the price for accessibility. I think it'll be a touch more at the door to kind of encourage early sales. And then we always provide a little bit of nashi foodie stuff. So it's like a kind of come hang out, listen to great music. And most of them ended up being two shows. And we're going to explore some new genres this year. It's been a lot of jazz, solo instrument, some vocal. And Felicia came recently and she did a little musical theater in there. But it's, yeah, it's basically an intimate concert series taking place at the theater. So
Fantastic.
check it out.
Any other news happening with TheaterWorks that you want to share?
No.
Nothing.
There's a lot happening here. Please, no. So
Well, things that you
now we're
want to
just
share
really trying
that
to
you can
get
talk about.
no. It's a lot of great things. I mean, everyone's excited, including our 40th. We just secured a really fun event planner for the big party. And we're really looking to find ways to celebrate our future in this upcoming season. I already starting to like think of the 41st season. Believe it or not, once we hit the fall, I'll be I'll be doing that
Yeah,
while producing the 40th season.
fantastic.
So thanks for your time.
Thank you, Rob. Pleasure to have you as always. And well, this is the first time doing this, but you and I hang out at least once or twice a year to talk about
Yeah.
what's going on.
Thanks.
But thank you. I appreciate you coming and doing this.
You got it.
Okay.
My pleasure.
I'm Tim. This is Rob Ruggiero, Artistic Director of TheaterWorks Hartford, and thank you for watching.